With their new book, We Say Never Again, student journalists from Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School are sharing their personal accounts of the Parkland shooting that killed 17 people. The emotional collection was gathered and edited by journalism and broadcasting teachers Melissa Falkowski and Eric Garner, who join us live this morning. Thanks to both of you. And as you say, never again, I have to begin with what we're witnessing yet again, another mass shooting in California this morning. Your initial thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, as these shootings continue to happen, it obviously has a profound effect on our community. You know, the students wanted these sorts of events to end at our school, and obviously that was a big goal and not necessarily an attainable one, but I think they continue to work really hard to make change and to create change. And I don't think until the majority of Americans care about this issue and are willing to, stand up and say that they've had enough and hold their politicians to account, we won't see change on this particular issue. So I think that's hard for our community, but I think we remain optimistic and the kids remain optimistic in their push for change.
And I think for me, it's we've got to recognize the mental health issue that's going on here, that these people that are in so much pain are taking their pain out on other people. And it's beyond, you hear the see something, say something. It's kind of like you've got to get inside yourself. And if you feel something, you need to search out some help. I think that's, the mental health side is a really important component to all of this.
No, you're exactly right. The book is divided into 3 different parts. You've got activism, MSD Strong, and what comes next. We've actually seen, a lot of your students that endured this horrific tragedy were actually here in Washington for a march for, the March for Our Lives and calling for smarter gun legislation. What is it about your students in particular that you think has them becoming such strong advocates for this? We haven't seen this from other school shootings. A lot of our students were already engaged in activities at our school that promote student expression. They were journalism students, they were drama students, they were student government, they were debate. And so they were sort of already trained to do research and form opinions and arguments. And so when this happened to them, they didn't want it to happen to anybody else ever again. And so I think the fact that they were already sort of trained to use their voices, that is what aided them, and what they were able to accomplish for March for Our Lives. They were comfortable speaking out, and they were comfortable and felt like they were well versed on the issue, and they used their voice to reach out to other people and ask them to help them create change.
And I think a lot of it's what Melissa and I teach. I teach on the broadcast journalism side. She's on the newspaper side. And, the big thing for us is making sure you know both sides of the issue, or the many sides of an issue. So when they went into an argument, they had already studied the other side, and they knew the other side, and they had their side, and were eloquent in what they were able to put out there.
So this is a collection of these student stories. A lot of times, as you know, as journalism instructors, writing can be very cathartic. It's very helpful when it comes to healing, to put your thoughts and your emotions down on paper. What was the reaction from your students after they did that?
We got started right away in reporting, and for my students who were ready to report, when we finished our memorial issue and we did our activism issue at the end of last year, and then we got started on this book, a lot of what they said was that they had something to do helped them to heal, because when we went back to school, we were kind of instructed not to teach and to just work on students, social emotional health, which is important, but they didn't have anywhere to put their feelings, and so they threw themselves into working on the newspaper, and so that was very healing for them, and it gave them like a sense of normalcy. And then when we started working on the book, they were able to sort of self-reflect, and I think that was very healing for them to really look inside and examine their own feelings when they had been telling other people's stories for so long.
And Eric, any hesitancy or reluctancy from students who thought that maybe this might only just conjure up more of those hard emotions that they had to work through?
Well, I'll give my quick personal story on it. That when I sat down and started working on the chapter I wrote, it was one of the best things that I did to my own personal healing. And I know for a lot of my students, it was the same effect. They wanted to tell their story. They wanted to get it out there, but they wanted to get it outside of the inside of themselves, that they needed to write this down. And it was a breath for them. I won't say it's a breath of fresh air, but it was a time for them to sit back, breathe, and say, there it is. It's in this permanent form in a book. So.
All right, well, I'm sure that there will be many people, many eyewitnesses and some victims who could certainly use your book, We Say Never Again, out in California this morning. Thanks to both of you for being with us.